Ready?
In 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another edition of Bodybuilding, Whiskey, and Cigars, coming at you from the Mr. Olympia competition 2025, Las Vegas, Nevada, the Resorts World Casino and Hotel. I want to give a big shout out and thank you to 8 Lounge for hosting this for us, guys. Great facility if you're in Las Vegas, and specifically if you're at the Olympia. If you want to come by, check this out, get a good cigar, have a nice drink, and watch the game. So, guys, it's that time of year again. In my opinion, this is the most stacked Olympia we've had in quite a while. This man sitting to my left here is not going to be in it. That would just really make it even that much tougher if he was in it. You know, for a few years there, we didn't have much depth. We had a few guys at the top, and now these young guys have really come on. You know, guys like Hunter have matured. You know, these young guys like Martin have really matured and come into their own. So predictions are about as worthless as a piece of paper they're put on, but they're fun.
Yep.
And, you know, I think it's all bullshit until they step on stage. But all things being equal, if everybody, you know, comes as they've been coming the past year, then what do you think, guy?
Whew. This is probably the first Olympia I can remember in a long time where it's wide open.
We have 3 former champions.
You got Hottie. Well, you got 4, Brandon Curry.
Correct.
Has there ever been an Olympia with 4 champions on stage at one time?
Maybe a while back, I think there was.
Okay.
But
So
I'm not sure, though.
For me, you have Samson coming off an Olympia victory from last year. You have Derek, who took out Samson at the Arnold. You have Derek, who arguably maybe shouldn't have won the Pittsburgh show. You know, a lot of people, including Tyler Mannion, had Nick winning, who was the head judge. Nick obviously placed second. And you have Hottie, who's very consistent. And you have Nick Walker, who's coming back for redemption 2 years off from the Olympia. First due to a hamstring tear. Second one due to just, you know, things weren't falling into place. Besides that Olympia last year, that's probably the only show I could say that, you know, everybody says, well, Nick backed out of 2. Well, getting an injury is not pulling out of a show. So we technically only pulled out of 1.
I did that. I missed 7
Yeah.
and 8.
Yeah.
1 for an injury, 1 because I just took a break.
Yeah.
But I came back and got second.
Yep.
So sometimes that rest does you good.
Yeah. And for me, out of all those bodybuilders on that stage, as consistent as Hottie is, we've seen him very good from the front and not so good from the back. And all those guys I just mentioned, I think the most consistent guy in that lineup is probably Nick Walker. And people think I'm biased because he's, you know, one of my buddies, but I think Nick has something to prove. I think he's the most bodybuilder-esque bodybuilder. Like, that kid lives, breathes, sweats, dies bodybuilding. He absolutely loves it.
I'm going to push back on it a little bit.
Go ahead.
The past 5 years, Hottie has not been out of the top 3.
He wasn't out of the top 3, but he wasn't 100% on. The 1 year he was a little softer from behind.
But he still got there.
He got there, but I'm talking about consistent. The only time, you know, Nick.
So you're talking about probably like their
conditioning and their
okay.
personal best. Like
Nick's always peeled.
He's always peeled. He's always
I
on.
agree with that.
So for me, you know, and Derek has one of the prettiest physiques on stage, but for some reason, when we see him on the Olympia stage, he seems to almost get, you know, a little downsized in the legs. He's flat. He's a little bit flat in the chest. His biceps don't have that peak, but he's got one of the best back double biceps in that lineup.
Got one of the best biceps in history.
Period. Yeah. So, you know, I'm pushing for Nick, man. I think it'd be a great story to see Nick win it. Does he have the prettiest physique? No. But he's somebody that took a physique that was blocky. People called him a refrigerator. He refined it. He recomped it. And I don't think he's got an ugly shape. You know, you could talk about his legs maybe not being his best body part, but I think we're going to see Nick walk away with a W this weekend. I really do.
Okay.
I know, you know, people look at me like I'm crazy. You have guys like Hottie, Nick, Samson, and Derek, you know, and for me, like you hear all the time, you could agree or not, shows are won from the back. You know, you take those
Show
back.
me a Mr. Olympia, and I'll show you the best backs in the sport.
Yes. The only thing that I think Samson lacks, besides having that gnarly conditioning, and now 365 days have went by, his back double bicep has been one of his weakest shots, aside from, you know, maybe not having as much peak from his arm. So if you take those back double biceps and you put Martin in there too, who's got a crazy back double bicep with all that muscle, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Martin knocking at the door this weekend. Martin needs a little more size, but, you know.
Martin put on some size. I saw him, 2 days ago?
Yeah.
And the kid brought it. So Now, that doesn't mean anything until we get to the show on Friday night.
Yep.
You know, because I've seen guys just totally F it up, and some guys that look like terrible and they look amazing by the time they get there. But the kid is really matured. He's starting to gain that muscle maturity. He's got more size on him, and the conditioning I saw 2 days ago, he's in there. He's in the fight.
He's in it to win it.
He's dug out. He's
Yeah.
got something to prove, especially after Pittsburgh. He was personally unhappy with it, despite him looking great. You know,
And sometimes those defeats are the best things that happen to you.
you know.
Because it motivates you to come back and be better than ever.
I'll say this: all bets are off for me if Martin shows up Friday night like he did Saturday night last year.
I just
Martin at finals last year was
gnarly.
really.
I can't tell you who I was
good.
just sitting with before I came here, but they said the same thing, and they said if he shows up on Friday night like he did Saturday night last year, they go
He could be knocking at that door.
he could be knocking at the door.
Yeah.
And the kid is only what 27, 28.
Yeah. And we were talking about, guys that train, he's a bodybuilder's bodybuilder. That kid, like the way he trains with that intensity, like we were talking about it yesterday. James Hollingshead, you have Martin. There's not a lot of guys that train with that crazy intensity. I think it shows in his physique and the amount of leaps and bounds he's made and progression he's made over the years. And I think he matured not only as a bodybuilder, but his personality too.
He matured as a person, as a man.
Yeah.
I think in the past 3 or 4 years, I've seen Martin mature as a man. Not just physically, but as a man. His attitude, his his outlook on life,
Yep.
has really matured, and I'm proud of him. I love the kid, and I'd like to see him slip in there.
Yeah. It's why it's so hard to predict, because you can take any of those guys we're mentioning and they can be first all the way to fifth.
The thing is, what we're seeing this year is there's not a Ronnie Coleman.
No.
It's just dominant, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Ronnie coming off, he still won, right? Because he was so dominant, so put together.
Yeah.
And he was the biggest and the hardest one on stage, and he had good shape. He was just hard to mess with. Nobody in the show has that right now. You got a bunch of really good ones at the top, and it could be anybody's show. How do you feel about it, Hunter?
I think one of the best ways to say what I think about it is I'm just as excited to see what happens in 5 to 10 as I am 1 to 5. And that just kind of talks about how stacked the show is.
And don't forget
good
about
point.
this. 1998, the guy who won went from like 12th place to winning.
Yeah.
And he didn't even make the first call out. They called him out the second call out. They stopped the show and brought the first call out back, and he ended up winning the whole thing and beat the whole world for the next 8 years. So
Very
in
unexpected.
2001, we saw Jay go from 12th, 13th place to second.
Yeah.
Arguably could have won that year. He was so good. I went from back of the pack to second like Jay did. There's been some other ones. So there might be a guy out there nobody has on the
I
radar
think we already talked about him. I think it's probably going to be Martin if
Yeah.
it's anyone.
Mhm. that can pull it off. So
I mean, there's guys that we haven't even mentioned, like Good Vito, Andrew Jack. Like there is a lot of
if
good
Andrew Jack
talent.
ever comes in ripped,
Everybody's in trouble.
it's a bad news for everybody.
I agree. But, getting back to my prediction, 1 through 5, I'm going to echo Guy's sentiment in that I think Nick's going to win this year. I think Samson, from what I've seen, obviously I haven't seen any of his check-ins or anything, it seems like he's trying to really play the conditioning game, which is, what I think he needed to do to reach that next evolution as a bodybuilder. But it seems to me like he's a little downsized having done that. And then, Nick is going to have Nick conditioning, but Nick is the biggest he's ever been by a long shot right now. So I have Nick winning. I got Samson in second. I got Hadi and Derek having a bloodbath for 3 and 4, and then I got Martin in 5. But like I said before, Martin brings it. He could be second even in my book.
He could upset some people's days.
Yeah. I think there's 5 people that could win the show this year.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I think there's 5 people that truly could win the show this
that have
year.
a legitimate shot of being Mr. O.
I want to ask you guys a question. I'll let Hunter. I want to hear Joe's opinion. Everybody went nuts when Samson guest posed, because they said it was the best condition he's ever seen. But I'm going to echo what Hunter said. And there wasn't a lot of people that said it, which I'm surprised that Hunter did. But I don't think playing somebody else's game is a smart move. And I think
You gotta
that
play up your strengths.
and I think his wow factor was his size. And I think having some weaknesses, the bicep being flat, his back double bicep not being one of his strong suits, I think that is going to hurt him. And I well, again, we give predictions, and all these guys are going to listen to the podcast. When I give predictions, like you, like Hunter, I cut everybody's heads off. Meaning, I'm going on what I see as a physique. I'm not taking the person's morale or personality or if they're my friend or not into the equation, because all those guys we're talking about, I'm friendly with all of them. Nick might be my closest friend, but as far as physique, shape, symmetry, density, all that, like that's what I include. And when I saw Samson guest posing, a lot of people wowed, and I went, I don't know if that's a good move.
Yeah, and something that I always, you have to take with a grain of salt whenever you see people guest pose, especially as you get closer to shows, is, being at the level that he's at. I know for a fact whenever I guest pose, if I did it inside of 8 weeks like he did, I'm not carbing up for it. I'm not doing anything special for it. I'm going to do my cardio that morning. I'm going to train if I was supposed to train that day. So, for all we know, that could have been a really flat, hammered look, because of the point that he's at, he was digging whenever you did that guest posing. So, I don't think we can, say, oh, he's going to come in smaller, stringy based off of that. But I am saying I'm very interested to see if, playing that game pays off for him or not, because I do believe he is playing that conditioning game this year.
I agree. You always need to play up to your strengths. Samson won last year because he's gigantic. He was 296, 297. All right. At the Mr. Olympia, size matters. And I know this. I've seen it for 30 years. Size matters. And I said it, I think at our podcast last year, I said, if Samson's good, he doesn't have to be as hard as Nick or Hottie or those other guys. He just got to be good.
Yep.
Because he's so much bigger and overwhelming on stage. He'll win, and he did. Hottie was pound for pound better than him.
Yes.
But he couldn't match that overwhelming size. So,
completely agree.
I want to welcome a newcomer to the podcast here.
Who will be on that stage next year?
Yes, he's a very young man. He's weighs as much as a Brahma bull probably right now, and got arms bigger than most people's legs. Joe Palacios. You just got second at Texas Pro. Looked incredible. Best I've seen you. And you're 26?
I'm 30.
31.
Oh, 30. Okay, I thought you were 26.
Let's just say I'm 26.
You should have went with it.
Jeez.
So, young man, you've got a good 10 years ahead of you. The amount of progress I've seen in you the past 2 years has been remarkable. So, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm super excited to be here. You guys got me to drink whiskey.
I'm gonna throw.
We're soon gonna get you to light the
Yeah,
cigar
I was
too.
waiting for you to tell. No, yet.
I just want
Light it
to.
up.
I want to be the first to say that before Joe was known, I told Joe when I met him, the first time. What did I say to you when I first saw you?
When he first met me, he's like, "Damn, you're big as hell." And then he said, "I'm looking forward to seeing you on the pro stage." And then literally the following year, I became Mr. USA and got the opportunity to become a pro. So it was really cool.
And then before your show, I DM'd you.
Mm-hmm.
And what did I say?
He said, "You're gonna make a hell of a mark in this industry right now. Just want you to know that." It was very
Toot my own
Yeah,
horn.
I remember seeing you earlier this year when we were all out in LA for the LA Fit Expo, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this dude is huge. I wonder if he's going to get in shape. And you got in shape and then some. It was cool to see, man. It was an awesome year for you.
Thank you.
And on my side, great personality. You got the whole package. Even if you're kind of like we talk here a little about those who the morale and all that stuff that doesn't matter when you're up on Olympia stage.
Yep.
But to me, the whole package matters. My feelings belongs to people like Joe, who really have the complete package of personality and size.
Well,
and
more
everything.
importantly, he just welcomed a new addition to the family.
Yeah.
Here recently, so congratulations.
Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, baby Jax. He's 5 months old as of the 7th. He's growing fast, so I expect to see him on the Olympia stage.
You Simba'd him at Texas, right?
Yes, I did. That was,
I think he's the third child that I know that's been Simba'd on a pro stage. It's Sergio, me,
you.
and now your son.
Yep, and then apparently I'm the third best back in the world, so it just made sense. No, but it's one of those things. When I got ready for the show, watching my wife take care of him and stuff, I had that vision. And so at the Texas Pro in particular, last year, they let the competitors go out to the crowd. And so when I heard them say, like, oh, you know how we do it in Texas, let's go get a pose down with the crowd and stuff, I envisioned that going into that show. And so when I saw it happening in front of my eyes, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is the moment that I saw. So when I remember getting off stage, and I did like 2 poses. I was like, watch out, guys. I want to get to my son. And so that's when I got the opportunity. I was like, wake him up because he was asleep. I was like, wake him up. I was like, I want this moment captured by somebody because one day I'll look back, say 10 years from now, and be like, hey, look at, you were there when your dad got to be known in this industry and follow his dreams.
I think one of my favorite memories that I have from bodybuilding to this day was at my first Olympia. My family was sitting front row, including my daughter, and during the pose down, obviously, we get like 2 inches from the edge of the stage. So when we did that, she like ran up to the stage,
I saw
and
that.
security didn't mess with her. And like I reached down and like tapped her hand, and she tried grabbing my hand, and she was like, thought I was gonna pull her up. Like, no. But yeah, I got an awesome picture of it. And then my brother's girlfriend's actually a really amazing artist, so she painted the picture for me for Christmas that year, and it's still like one of my favorite possessions that I have to do with bodybuilding.
So I gotta ask both of y'all something. Once you had your children, it's different when you train, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, I remember. So.
Because bodybuilding will make you a very selfish, self-centered person.
Yeah.
Just the nature of the sport, even if you're not that way naturally. But once you have a little one, it changes your perspective.
The drive is different. People talk about, hey, what did you do from last year to this year or whatever? It's like, it's not so much what I did. It was more of a mind shift. Like, it's do or die. You do anything for your family. It's like, I'm going to give it my all. And I thought I gave my all before, and that's not the case. When you're doing it for someone else other than yourself, it's just different.
Yeah.
That internal drive. There's no tire. There's no suffering. Like,
it's
you
I feel like you underwent the shift too that happened, kind of simultaneously. You had a family and you were the breadwinner for the family, and then also you started making your living from bodybuilding at the same time.
Yeah.
And both of those things happening around the same time, I imagine they kicked your ass into gear in the best way.
Yes.
My daughter was born 3 weeks before the Arnold Classic 2012, and I just tore my quad previously, Miss Olympia, had 6 months of training for the Arnold. And my little girl was born, and I remember I'm in the hospital. I got all my chicken and rice, and I got up that morning, did my cardio, and go back to the room, and we had to do emergency C-section, all this, and I'm like, all this stuff going through your head, and a little girl came out, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, can't fail. And 3 weeks later, I won.
Sounds like a scene out of Creed. Remember when Creed's doing the stairs in the hospital and Rocky's getting chemo?
I had my baby. Everything was good. Trish was good. And I was supposed to train back and legs that day. Made sure everybody was good. I left. I hauled ass to doing like 100 Metroflex. I trained legs. Came right back to the hospital. Had all my food. And but it's a different, puts a different perspective on it. Bodybuilding's not as important, but at the same time, it makes you that much more focused on it to be successful.
Yeah, I'm the only one here who doesn't know what that's like. Unfortunately.
You will.
We'll
call some girl into it.
I think I was. It was.
Or you just don't know about it. He's got to travel the world for a while.
You got to live it up.
Oh, listen, Branch. I won't say who it was with.
I know what you're about to say.
But Branch caught me creeping a few times. Especially there was one time in Germany he saw me. I won't mention who it was with. But
can I tell the story?
I
won't say no names.
Yeah, that's
Please
fine.
tell the story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mike,
So my boy over here. So we're in Germany at FIBO, right? And the hotel we're in, it's like an embassy suite type deal, where you can see all the way up all the floors. Well, I'm down there doing what I do, eat, and I'm eating all this food. And I look up and I see a guy open his door, and he looks out and he looks down the hallway, looks down this way, and he fucking runs down the hallway, knocks on the door and goes in. I'm like, this motherfucker. I heard creeping.
And then
So I didn't say nothing, right? So then that evening, we're all walking down the sidewalk going to go eat or something.
you're with Hoop, right? Tom Hoop?
Tom Hoops, yeah. And somebody else was with us too. Well, they got those little carriages like these little guys get on with bicycles, and you and your girl, whatever.
I was like this.
So I see him coming. He sees me. He tries to pull the blanket up over him, and I'm like, I text him, go, motherfucker, I see your ass. And then he just pulled down the thing and looked. I'm like, I got you.
Yeah, it's about that. True story.
Yeah, we're starting families over here. I don't get to experience that.
You know what? You know what's crazy though, Branch? I've
Joe,
said
you
it.
like the cigar up, man.
Yeah, bro, the fucking
Pass it
cigar
out
ain't gonna light itself, buddy.
So what's up?
Yeah, I said, what's crazy? And I think MJ, was around for it because of what he does with Gasp and Better Bodies. You and I were competing, and I might be biased, but I think we, that time we were kind of the last. Like the last hurrah of guys that really got to experience the world with like those European tours and traveling the world. And we were on private jets, traveling and competing. And, I remember one time we competed in Prague and took a private jet from Prague to Italy the next day and competed in.
You came back to back day to day.
Yeah, like
you
those
compete
guys.
you compete on Saturday, You fly that night to the next country, you compete again.
Yeah.
So
And like these guys don't get to experience
Yeah.
that. And,
That's
like,
one of the things that, growing up hearing my dad's stories, those European Grand
Yeah.
Prix, they'd start and there'd be 8 shows, 8 weeks in a row, and
in
they'd
different countries.
head over there after the Olympia, and, the first 1 or 2 or 3 shows, everyone's really on their shit, and then, the people aren't doing as well as they want to, start falling off a little
Then
bit.
you got them
And by
guys
the
that
end of
game
it-
it, and they try to get in at the end and beat everybody.
Yeah, and then by
Yeah.
the end of it, you have your 2 or 3 guys that have brought it the whole time, and then the rest of it's almost like borderline guest posing.
Yeah.
But, hopping on what you just said, like, it was one of the coolest things of my career so far to go compete in Italy last year. I had a lot of people come like, oh, why are you trying to go to a European show? Is it for the weaker competition? I was like, no, I want to travel the world for free doing what I love.
Yeah.
And I got to do that. It's
You know,
cool to say.
me and MJ have been around the world together, traveling. And to your point, though, I look back. I got a new passport not too long ago, and I counted up at 67 countries I went to in the past 20-some years, and all 50 states. And it's because of bodybuilding. I got to see the world literally, and I think that's something I really wish you guys get the opportunity to experience, because we guest pose all the time, and the better you did, more popular you were, the more opportunities you got, and I truly got to see the world and had a blast doing it. So, and I hope that you guys get to experience some of that too. I know you've done some of it.
I've gotten to do some of it for sure. I feel like there's becoming like a true like renaissance of bodybuilding in everywhere but the U.S. though. So I feel like those opportunities start opening up for guys a lot.
I hope it does,
I hope
man.
so.
I hope it
Southeast
does.
Asia is getting huge. The Middle East is obviously a hotbed right now. There's starting to be a lot of great. Couldn't believe the show in Sweden, man.
Yeah.
The show
That's
that we
good.
were at in Sweden earlier this year, just the level of competition, both the amateur and the pro level, was really cool to see.
Well,
So
just
Now we got some 40 countries coming to our show in Sweden and competing, and I just came back from 4 weeks of traveling in Europe here, and I can tell you there is a lot of good bodybuilding out there.
I mean, how many countries did you go to in that 31 days? You were like
11
11?
countries.
That's great.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So-
5,000 miles.
Yeah, 5,000 miles, 8,000 kilometers. Yeah, so and for me, and traveling with Branch and all this stuff, there's like opportunities, yes, and then also personal growth in tons of that, and I feel like the bodybuilders that wants to be professional, if they are professional outside bodybuilding, they become really professional in bodybuilding. And I think Branch, to me, has been a really good example on that. Being able to travel on that level and competing, and so I think that's kind of, that's to live life to the fullest.
From being a part of you guys and stuff, kind of learning that aspect of these things, the higher I go, the more I see myself packing a bag, on a plane or a long car ride, and consistently looking for places to be able to buy my food and pack and still show up, be present, not thinking about this over here while I'm at this right here.
Yeah.
It's been a hard adjustment, but at the same time, very good for me to become versatile like that, because you become well-versed with everything. So you don't just get consumed by the bodybuilding thing. You learn how to actually live life while doing that and carry yourself in that manner. So it's been an adjustment, but I can see how it's done.
it's almost like you learn how to make it a job, not in a bad way, but it's
Exactly.
like people have lives outside of work. You have to have a life outside of work.
And when you do that at the same time as you don't work a day in your life, because it's beautiful weather, it's great opportunities, and your mind is positive. You don't complain about, how hard is it to travel? I'm gonna sit here for drive for 3 hours. 3 hours for me is like nothing.
That's like driving around the block for you.
Yeah,
3
but I
hours.
mean, but that's because my mindset is made for bigger stuff.
Yeah, there's so many people that have
and
never.
I don't say that to brag, but I just mean that as kind of like to myself as a positive advice to to push and see the beautiful side in everything.
A lot of people, bodybuilders, a lot of these guys don't want to do anything. Like they get into prep, and I'm not bashing it, but I traveled up till I was about 3 weeks out from shows. A lot of these guys turned down a lot of opportunities to grow themselves.
You traveled up until 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks out, and then I shut it because it's not like 3 weeks out. If I'm holding water from traveling, that water's not going to come off. I got plenty of time to get in shape.
Dude, 2 weeks, I was like done.
Yeah, but So
I've always
don't-
tried to cut it off at 8.
I don't like nobody.
Yeah.
I get it, but
So
my
I don't wanna be
point
around
is,
nobody.
you were one of
still
the
don't.
you were one of the best in the you were one of the best in the world, right? And you won Arnold Classics. You were bridesmaids at the Olympia. Like, I knew that I didn't have the potential to be a Mr. Olympia, so I had to have a business mindset. And I think a lot of these guys live in the now, and they don't understand that there is a business aspect to this, and the way to get your
100%.
name out there and to be relevant. Like, I was nobody special. Yeah, I won shows, but I never won an Arnold. I never won an Olympia. And the reason why I'm still able to show up to these places and be relevant and have fans and sign autographs and take pictures is because I did the little things that a lot of these guys just don't do anymore. You know, the top guys, yeah, if you're Mr. Olympia, you won an Arnold Classic and you want to shut it down, you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars winning those shows. You know, as a 212 guy, you know, winning shows and maybe taking, you know, top 5 at Olympias and, you know, top 4 at Arnold. Like, I knew that I had to, you know, open myself up and be more versatile in order to make it a business. Because if I would have just did the bare minimum and didn't travel, I would have been working a 9 to 5 after bodybuilding, and I'd still be working and doing it. And, you know, I don't see a lot of guys putting in the effort to be open-minded and have that, you know, understanding of, yeah, it is bodybuilding, but it's bodybuilding. You have to make it into a business. A lot of these guys don't do it, and they just leave a lot of money on the table,
We've
opportunities on the
seen some
table.
great champions, some of the greatest of all time, not do very well afterwards. And I think that's you got to have some balance and realize if you're fortunate enough to get to the top level of the sport, and there's only top 6, 7, 8 guys that I would consider in the top level, then you're going to do well. And if you don't take that and leverage that and provide and build a future for yourself while you're doing that, it's going to, when it comes to a stop, it might be a hard stop. It might be an injury or something. And if you haven't, you know, prepared for your future, as in have a career, have a business, then a lot of guys don't do well.
Why do you think they don't do that stuff? What do you think the reason
Some
is?
people don't have a business mind. I think some guys are just lazy. I mean, in my generation, I ain't gonna mention no names, but those guys, they went to the gym, they worked out, did their cardio, came home, they freaking got on social media, they played video games,
Yep.
and hung out. They didn't do shit. You know, I had a gym all through my 20s. Then I sold that, opened up a freight forwarding company, logistics company, had that for 10 years, 11 years. And then I sold that and then opened up Wiki Cuts. At the same time, I was traveling the freaking planet for the past 20 years with this man, going everywhere on God's creation and still maintaining all my obligations to my family and everything else. You got to work. You know, people, you know, my biggest pet peeve in life is when people start bashing guys that are rich. I'm like, they bust their ass. They had a plan. You don't know what that man went through to get to that point. I know guys like that that are worth tons of money, and you don't know their story. What they slept on their friends' couches, they slept on the floor, you know, in the early days to make it. And you don't got shit because you didn't do shit.
Yeah.
So don't hate on him because he did.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
this
it's the
man right here
driving
has been in
factor.
business
I
30
think
something years, and he didn't have nothing when he started.
I think there's a lot of different levels of ambition that you see too. You know, because I talk with enough guys in the gym and stuff to where it's like a lot of guys, their end goal is to be able to pay the rent on their apartment and
If that's your goal,
and bodybuild.
God bless you.
And right,
Yeah.
if that's your ambition and that's what you want out of life and that's what's going to make you happy, God bless you. I don't think that once they reach that and live in it for a while that they're very happy with it though.
See, I grew up super, super poor, and I'm not going to go into all that right now, but at one point, me and my mother didn't have nothing. Like, we lived in a car. And so my first few shows I trained with Ronnie. And I saw him start having success, turn pro, and just start doing really well. And I said, you know what? This is my ticket out of this shit. And I saw bodybuilding as a vehicle to not just better myself, but better my family, you know? And because of bodybuilding, I was able to buy my mom her first house. I bought her a brand new car, and I gave my family a better life, you know? And so I didn't give a fuck what I had to do. You know, if I had to bodybuild, work a job, do everything, all this, I didn't care, because I'm like, I ain't going back to that. And if I have kids, and I hope that I did one day, and I'm blessed that I do, they weren't going to grow up like that.
Yeah.
So
You know, you guys talked about how you guys see a lot of bodybuilders leave money on the table, but their background is everything. You know, I said earlier that it's got to be bigger than just you, and that takes you to another level. So your story was bigger than just you. You had a bigger driving factor than looking good and just trying to make money for yourself. It was your mom, and then it became your family, and, well, it's your family overall. And so it's one of those things like, those guys may not have that background, so that drive, they don't have it in them, that hunger to be able to provide for not just themselves, but everybody else around them get out of the hole that they never want to get back into. It's like, so for example, for me, my mom lost my dad early, so it's just her now. And her little dream is just gone and stuff, you know. She lives over Social Security and stuff. So in my head, I'm like, man, not to bash on my siblings, but they're doing the regular 9 to 5 thing. I was like, nah, it's got to be bigger than that. So I left mine knowing that I was like, I don't want to live a normal life where it's like we barely get by. I want my mom to be taken care of just like you. That was the initial factor before my son was even born. So it's like that part right there is, I think, what makes the money mindset. It's like
a different kind of drive.
It's bigger than you. It's everyone else around you.
My story is a little bit, growing up, and I didn't want to be normal, and that's why,
You're not.
you know. That's my whole
That's a box
point.
checked.
That's my whole point.
Checkmate.
You know, I took that into bodybuilding, and then by 27, I felt like I was late to the party, and I decided to, I'm gonna take everything I learned through bodybuilding also, and then I'm gonna push like crazy in relationships and business.
See, y'all, I don't know if y'all seen pictures of him when he competed.
He looked damn good.
He actually had a really good physique. He
Mike had
great
wheels.
legs,
He had
calves,
wheels.
Still
hamstrings.
got calves.
And I think, bodybuilding in late 80s, early 90s in Sweden probably wasn't the best place to be in. And plus the knowledge, everybody successful back then had to be in the States.
Yeah.
Whether they were a U.S. citizen or not, the States is where it's at, specifically California. I think in today's environment, I think he could have been a hell of a bodybuilder.
Yeah, but I felt like I got the same, out of my life.
If you'd have moved to God's country back then, you'd have been all right, Texas.
Yeah. Would be squatting with you, growing some big legs there in Metroflex. No, but I think the important lesson here, for me and for those who care to listen to what I'm saying, is to take that philosophy and apply it to all parts of your life, and not let it be like just a label for one thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a label for just a carpenter, plumber or bodybuilder or whatever. I felt like as an example, when we talked about Branch, walking before us, that he's been professional all the time, and that creates a really good platform for a successful life, and where you don't feel like you're working, but you are you can still do your bodybuilding, whatever you want to do in life, you can do that at the same time. That's my whole point.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know that. I know, Michael, I've said it to you. I mean, Branch, I don't know if anybody, Branch is one of my closest friends. Me and Branch talk. A lot of people think Branch is this quiet guy. Me and Branch, if I see the phone ringing and it's Branch, I'm like, a solid 45 minutes to an hour, we're going to be on the phone. And, Branch and MJ, you as well, you both told me, and a lot with Branch, they were like, you're going to be so much better off when you retire with where
We
you're
had this
at.
conversation.
We've had this, and people don't even know that Branch was the one that had to make that phone call and say, dude, like,
It's over.
it's over. Like, you got,
And
but
it sucks having to make that call.
it does. But as far as like, I learned a ton from you as far as how to train, how to be intense, when to turn it on, when to turn it off. Being a gym owner now, I told Mike, you look at my gym, I learned a lot of business stuff and how to run my gym and how to, because of the one thing that people say about Muscle Inc. in Bethlehem is they constantly talk about the community. And when people say that they love walking into the gym because of the community we built, it's a testament to Mike, because Mike drilled that in my head every time. He always talked about the like-minded people, building the community, having people together. And when I hear people talk about loving the community, it's a testament to Mike, because, I might be the guy that's the ball buster and joking around and cracking jokes, but I pay attention. I pay attention to detail, little things that go on. And I learned a lot from both of you, over the years, and a lot of the business sense that I have. I don't think, there's one other guy that's not in the room is Jay Cutler, that I talk to a lot, but, Michael and Branch are the two guys that I really paid attention to and learned a lot of business stuff from, and just a lot of how to be a well-rounded individual in the sport with bodybuilding and incorporating into the business sense. And, it's awesome. And I didn't think I was going to enjoy retiring from bodybuilding as much as I do, because, I remember when you first called me, I think I picked up the phone and you're like, hey, man. And I said, I already know what you're going to say. I already knew what you're going to say.
You argued with me for a minute.
But it wasn't me arguing. It was just me putting up a fight for my mentality, but not my physical well-being, because mentally I still had it. Physically I didn't. And I knew that. And I was trying to make my mental be, into my physical aspect. And I knew it wasn't there, but I was pushing. And I agreed after a little bit.
But now you are taking that mental into other parts of your life, things that you maybe didn't put the same effort into before.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Something that you told me probably 3 or 4 years ago, we were having a conversation, and it's like, Hunter, you're driving the car looking through a straw right now.
Oh.
Drive the car looking through the windshield. Life will be better. And I definitely, I think that's one of my favorite things you've ever told me since we met, honestly. And it's
good.
It's very true. You can get so locked in and focused on things that you miss the big picture, and you miss the fact that you are so much more than a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And
I was about to ask that after when the guy was down here, that I've seen you growing a lot lately.
Yeah.
So do you have any words for us on that part? Because it gives me great satisfaction to see you how you are changing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This last year,
I bet her the first time he was in diapers.
This is yeah, right. This is probably the best time to say this. I haven't said this yet, but when I walked off the Olympia stage last year, I thought I was done bodybuilding. And Branch, I was at the house with you, Gasp, last year. I know I talked with you too. I was, completely upside down with a lot of things, and I was blaming bodybuilding for a lot of things, and that wasn't the case. It was how I was operating within bodybuilding, and having a full year, not by choice, I'll admit it, my shoulder needed to get fixed, so I knew I had to take the year off. I didn't want to take the year off. I would have loved to have, just stuck my head in the sand and kept on keeping on, but I really feel like it was the best thing that could have happened to me. It forced me to take a step back. It forced me to, focus on what's actually important, because, bodybuilding, I could not train. I could not bodybuild with how my shoulder was. So, I spent the summer being dad after having my shoulder fixed. Placed a huge emphasis on, cultivating and nurturing relationships. Because, it's like one of the biggest things that really just truly, truly upset me when I walked off the Olympia stage last year and was able to decompress after the show. It was like everyone in my life felt like a stranger to me. Not just my friends, like my family, my mom, my dad, my daughter, everyone in my life felt like a stranger to me. And, fast forward, literally almost 365 days later, it's like I've never been this close to this many people before. Yeah. And, I've never had, this level of enjoyment just being present. I feel like it forced me to realize that being neurotic 24/7 about every little minutia and detail is not going to benefit me in the long run. There's a time and a place for that. The last 8 weeks before a contest, blinders on, everything matters. But, I was living life in a way that wasn't sustainable. And, this last year really forced me to, take a step back, and I had some light bulbs go off, and having fun in the gym again, having fun, doing things like this with my friends, and, closer to my family than ever. So it's been a good year.
So I got to ask you.
Yeah.
One of the top names of the sport, one of the top physiques in the world. Now being on stage is sure. How does that feel? And the follow-up to that is, what's next?
Man, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't know how I'd feel. Now that I'm here, it's cool that I'm very much so a part of it, but it feels like a little bit of a kick in the stomach. And, I'm sure watching prejudging tomorrow and watching finals the next day, it's going to get even worse. But, I'm going to go home ready to run through walls, and that's always fun.
What's next?
Go.
What's next?
What's next? Depending on how quick we get this thing rolling, I'm either thinking Arnold in Detroit or Pittsburgh, New York, and then Dubai. So
I think
one of those two.
Hunter Labrada, Arnold Classic champion, sounds pretty good.
Yeah. I think it's a little weird that I'm 6 years into my career and haven't done one too. So,
I do too.
Yeah.
I hear the prize money is $750,000 next year.
Shit, I'll come back.
That's first place. That's first place. Yeah, that's cheap. Those cheapskates didn't give us that shit back in the day. But I think you need to go get some of that.
Yeah, no, I want to go get some of that. Pittsburgh and Dubai's money is real good too. Yeah, but I'm excited for next year, man. It's I I think it will be a whole different animal how I operate within prep, and I think it's going to show.
I want to say two things, and Branch could be a testament to this because he agreed. He said it too. I said Hunter has the ability to win in Olympia with no questions asked. We've had this conversation before, and I said in a few more years, I have no doubt in my mind that you're going to be knocking on that door to win a Sandow. And I've said it to Branch. I think you have one of the best physiques. I think you just you lock in, and you just need a little more maturity, a little more size. You nail that conditioning. I mean, your shape, structure, mindset now, I think is going to catapult you way higher than I think you've ever been. The best piece of advice I can give you based on what you said regarding to not being at a show is you have the ability to do something that you haven't been able to do at an Olympia, and that is enjoy the people and the fans and the expo and shaking hands, because so many of these guys that are competing this weekend, the fans are not going to see unless they went to the meet and greet. And you have a chance to give back to the sport, give back to the fans that you wouldn't have had if you were competing. So as much as you want to be on that stage, don't look at it as I'm pissed off, I'm upset, I'm not on that stage. Look at it as I have an opportunity to interact with the people and the community and the fans and the friends around me that I wouldn't have had if I was competing at the Olympia. So don't look at it as a negative, because you're able to connect with so many people this weekend that you'd be in your hotel room by yourself with your small group of people, going from tanning to the check-ins to the press conference to the meet and greet to the show, and you wouldn't have dealt with anybody else. So use it as a way to interact with everybody and give people a side of Hunter Labrada that they haven't seen before.
Yeah. I'm going to say something right here. I've had this conversation with you. I've had it with you. I've had it with your father. You have something. I didn't have it. You could win this whole thing and beat the whole world, my man. With your physique. You just got to fucking bring it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Fucking get single-minded and focused.
Nasty fucking hard.
And fucking bring it.
Yep.
You'll be the last man standing. I believe in you.
I know you do.
So
Trust me.
Don't make us proud.
Yep.
Let me tell you something. Not a lot of people get told they can win a fucking Olympia.
By people who actually know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
That's the big caveat with that one. Yeah.
So, we're not pissing on your leg telling you it's raining in here.
But I think, just to finish that off a little bit, to the importance of make the circles bigger and not, keep them small and tight. So I think now when you have that perspective and get a little bit of a distance, I think you're going to come back and be so much stronger.
Yeah.
You're going to be to your full potential.
After every injury I had, I came back and won a show.
Yep.
Every time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the worst things that happen to you turn out to be blessings.
Yeah.
Because it forces you to take time off, get your head right, you get focused, and you don't take it for granted, because you realize, because last year you were talking about being done.
Yeah.
And I think taking some time off,
it gave me the perspective I needed.
It reignited that fire in you, and you're like,
for sure.
No, I ain't done.
Yeah.
I still got some unfinished business up there. And I think sometimes the worst things that happen to you turn out to be blessings.
And more importantly than, realizing I have unfinished business up there was realizing that I do love this. That was the big thing that came out of this year was, no, I do like this. I do love this.
Ain't nobody sitting in this restaurant out that doesn't love this sport.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
And you can't really win that big title if you don't have that mindset.
No, you can't.
So you need to have that with you.
You got to believe you already won it.
Yep.
When I went there on Classic first time, that whole prep, I came home from training, I got in the shower, I practiced my victory speech. And people said, I was pretty cocky. No, I told myself I won this already. Now I just got to go through the motions to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got on stage and forgot my speech. But
I think it's more so not that you have a new, you're coming, you want to come back to competing. With that mindset, I feel like it's more like you're just getting fucking started now, dude. Because I think with that mindset, it's going to change your whole entire life, man. When you have that correct mindset, I think that you're 6 years in it. I think this coming year, I think you're just getting fucking started.
Catch a stride this year.
I really do.
You know how Michael mentioned you don't feel like it's a job when you love what you do?
Yep.
Falling back in love with bodybuilding is going to make you appreciate the whole journey of it again. And your body reflects it. Your body reflects stress. All that water, all that inflammation, it's there because your head's not there, right? So, I mean, for me, from McAllen to Texas, it was just that vision. I do belong here. I see it. So you believe that, your head's good, and just loving bodybuilding is going to get you.
Yeah.
Exactly
This is what
where
you
it's
do.
at.
This is what you love. It's what you dreamed of.
Yep.
Yep.
Now you're here.
Yep.
Go all in.
Absolutely, guys.
And I don't care how much you got to suffer. I don't care how much you fucking cry and bleed. When you win, it's all worth it.
Yep.
Yeah, that hurts way less than what ifs 10 years from now.
Damn right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck.
So I'm going to shift the gears a little bit and talk about something a lot of people talk about. So we got the old generation and we got the new generation. And every generation is different, right? The 80s did it different than the 90s. 90s did it different than the 80s. We did it different than the 90s guys. You guys are doing it a different way too.
Yep.
Training's different. Your approach to the sport's different. Physiques look different.
Yep.
So from a young guy's perspective, how do you view your generation as opposed to the generations that came before as far as training style, the look on stage, and the approach to the sport? Because, you know, the guys that become you motivate you to do it, right? You know, the guys in the 90s motivated us. We learned from them, and we took it, and then we took the sport in our direction. And you guys, I would assume, learned from us and got motivated by the guys that came before you. Now you guys have got it. It's yours. How do you view the difference?
I think things are done more technically than just with heart and effort. And I think both build amazing physiques. But when it comes to like longevity and improving certain aspects of a physique, that's where you have the new era that has a little more knowledge on certain things and what you can get away with compared to, like, for example, it's one thing to say, hey man, I got under the 7 place and did the squats and did all that, but then I walked away with knee problems, compared to we have more technical stuff where it's like you can get the job done with a little bit less, so that longevity in the sport's there, so you can train afterwards kind of thing and not have as many injuries. But the similarity between it is just the intensity still there. It's just understanding how to find that. So you still have the old era crossover into the new era, but the main driver, I think, is just the technicalities of things. Some people overdo the technicalities and take away from the passion of it, so just finding the blend of the two. But you just have more knowledge now.
But don't you think that that blend that you're talking about is kind of like it is that thing that goes with time, and usually you think like, you know, oh, grandpa doesn't know the same stuff that I know today. Like, don't you think it's kind of a little bit like that type of stuff?
That's why I think the intensity has to match. Whatever you do, it's got to be done with passion and intensity.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sure Branch, he still trains the same within certain guidelines now, but now he knows he can do this and it still kind of keep his physique. So it's like he still knows what he's talking about, but now it's just broken down a little bit finer to where it's like it's not so much just, hey, pick that shit up and move it. Like, if you're banged up, you probably shouldn't do that. You should probably do it another way.
But don't you ever just like look at the weights and get fucking mad?
Yeah, and exactly.
Say fuck this shit.
But it's like I can only do that for so long before something gives. And then I think that's the transition. It's like, we'll still train like that. I'm sure Hunter will still look at that bar and still do that from time to time. But it's like when your shoulder's killing, it's like, I probably shouldn't do that. I can still get the job done with this, and just having that mentality where instead of going and like, man, how the hell am I going to make it? It's like, okay, there's other ways to do this kind of thing. And that's the only difference I see.
What do you say? Hey, be honest. You ain't got no feelings.
I'm trying to really feel how
I'm gonna point it. The way you train, the way I train, are totally different.
night and day.
Night and day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you ever heard me criticize you?
No, because the intensity is the same.
Because the results speak for themselves. So
I feel like you have a lot of people. I think the best way to say it right now is, you know, the guys that are truly at the top, they have been there and done that and kind of trained in that ultra intense, you know, more, you know, like 90s style training. And, you know, like I'm speaking for myself, you know, me particularly, like my back, I did, you know, bent over rows with 365 and weighted pull-ups and, you know, all this shit that I saw you and Ronnie and everyone with the freaky backs did, you know, for 5 years straight. Feedback from my first couple shows, your back sucks. It needs to get better. It's like, well, okay, I've been doing all this shit for this long. I'm going to, you know, go and try and do something else.
It's gone off like 5 times. I don't know if it's important.
Okay. It's okay.
I'm just making sure.
So, you know, I think one of the things that you get a lot more these days is, you know, being able to think about things critically and kind of pivot and not just continue to run your head into the wall over and over and over and over again. I think some of that comes from the knowledge base, you know, that we have available to us these days. And then I think some of it, you know, comes down to, You know, this is something that I truly do believe has come a long way since the 90s is the equipment we're able to train on. You know,
do you think your equipment makes a difference over just free weights?
I do think it makes a difference. You know,
I second
especially
that.
whenever you have, you know, stubborn body parts, you know, like you're able to really, you know, specialized movements. Like I was able to, you know, take my back from like a shitty body part to, you know, I have a pretty damn good back double and lat spread now. Well,
Fuck, we had shit made in the garage, so.
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. And, you know, like for the last couple of years, it's all been, you know, very specific targeted exercises on, you know, machines that are, you know, made to do what I'm trying to do. So I do think, you know, the equipment technology has come a long way enough to where, you know, I'll argue with someone until I'm blue in the face that a cable side lateral is better than a dumbbell side lateral. And I'm sure
I'll take you up on that.
completely disagree with me, you know, completely
100%.
disagree with me.
So-
And that's what's beautiful about what we do. But,
But you know, the flip side is you never heard me criticize you because look at your fucking delts.
Yeah.
Or me, I'm gonna fucking do dumbbells and barbell presses and sort of as long as the day is long.
Yep.
But it works for you.
I think you have.
And something else, you've never heard me tell anybody to train the way I do.
Yeah.
Right. It works for me.
Yeah.
And people criticize all the time. I don't give a fuck. Fuck off. It worked for me. And usually when I say that, I'm like, well, how many shows you doing?
What did we say yesterday
So-
in the gym when we were training about like we knew we'd be here at one point
Oh,
based
well,
on what we did?
I told him a story yesterday. We were training. We're doing shoulders. And of course, it's the old man workout now.
Yeah, because his shoulder,
And,
I got two. I'm gonna need two replacements. His one shoulder's fucked.
So, I told him yesterday, I said, you know, back in the days, it was 2010. And me and Johnny were in there, bench fights banging away, getting ready for Olympia in the summertime. And I put 4 or 5 on the military press. I pressed it 8 times, threw it on the rack, and I got up. And I didn't say it out loud, but I consciously thought this, and I remember doing it. I go, one day, I'm going to pay for this shit. That day's today. But I'll say this, if I had it to do all over again, I'd have fucking pushed even harder.
Yep.
So if I could have, I'd have found a way.
So I think the biggest thing that you see these days, and it's outside of the top guys, because you know the top guys have been there and done that. Like I said, I feel like people see what we're doing and they take it out of context. You know, they see how I train now and they think I've been training that way from the get go. Like, no, from the time that I was 14 years old,
Banging.
from the time I was 14 until 25, I was in a squat rack once a week. I was deadlifting every single week. I was
But you
beating
evolved,
the
you trained,
living
yes.
shit out of myself. And you know, I got to the point where, you know, I don't know if
You got that base already.
Yeah, I got the
got the
base,
base.
and then, you know, it's like, I don't know if I just wasn't blessed with the longevity that you were, or I'm just a fucking pussy, or what it is. But, you know, I very much so started getting to the point where I was like, if I keep on doing this, I'm going to cut myself very short.
See, I don't know any other way to train. I don't want to train the other way. You know, somebody said, you know, why don't you train different? And I was like,
It ain't fun then.
man, fuck that shit. I don't want to train no different. I like training like this.
Yeah.
You know, and the best people say you miss competing. No. You know what I miss? Training.
Yep.
Because those 20 years I spent with Johnny into that shitty little gym training were the best times of my life. And I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
Yep.
And, you know, training until you fucking bleed, you bust blood off in your eyes, your nose is bleeding, you're ripping shit off your shins from deadlifting, your fucking skin come off your hands from holding the bars. I loved every minute of it.
Yep.
Yep.
I miss that. You know?
Spend 2 hours trying to kill each other every day.
And it was
Yep.
fucking fun. I mean, I come to the gym every day, and those days we all have where you don't feel like training, right? But as soon as I walked in the gym,
Those are the best days.
I'm like, I see him, and I'm like, I better step this up, or I better get my ass stomped. And I learned how to flip a switch, and I could just get mad. And you know, if you get mad, you can train even harder.
Yep.
And
So-
it works for me. Now, I think you got to have some control of that, some discipline, or else you
Like
will hurt
controlled
yourself.
chaos.
Yeah. So
So the conclusion is that whomever it works for, whatever they are doing,
if it works for you, it works for you.
Yeah.
If it ain't working for you, if you don't not
You
getting
need to
the
change.
results you want, you're not winning.
Yeah.
You need to make a change.
yeah.
The one thing that I tell like the younger guys is your joints, your tendons are not always going to be where they are when you're younger. So take advantage of hammering and clanging and banging and doing the deadlifts, doing the barbell squats, doing the flat benches, because build your base with the core stuff. And as you progress and as you age, you can then kind of, you know, pivot and start adding in more machines, start adding in more
I
cables.
disagree because my theory was what got me here is going to get me
No,
here.
but what happens is once you start getting banged up, like the way we trained yesterday for shoulders, we had to pivot because our body's banged
Yeah,
up.
because we're fucking old men.
But that's what happens.
That's what I'm
Like
saying.
for-
That's what
for
I'm saying.
Hunter and
Look
me,
at our
That-
fucking beards.
so, no, but
Look
hold
like
on.
fucking Santa Claus and shit.
But that's dick. But that's my point. You get to the place where you have to pivot. So we trained very similar in our style and our intensity and the weight. And then once we got to where we are now, Now we pivot. We do more machines now than we ever have before because our shoulders are bad.
100%.
We still go to dumbbells. We still do leg press. I can't get under a squat bar because of my fucking shoulder. I just can't.
I think I told you yesterday too. When I retired, the first 2 years after I retired, nothing changed.
Yeah.
Johnny was still competing. I'm still training with him. So we're still in there doing the same crazy crap. And I didn't lose much weight, anything, because I'm like, I'm still doing everything the way I used to do it. I just wasn't competing. And then finally I was like, all right, I need to scale this back.
Not weigh 280 pounds just for fun.
Yeah, I was like, I need to lose some weight here because, being 300 pounds when it's your age, you can get away with it. When you get to be 45, you better start making some changes.
I know this is going to be not everybody's going to agree on this. You hear guys talk about like doing one top set and feeder sets and like
The fuck's a feeder?
that's my point. Like we didn't grow up, we didn't come up like that. We did 3 or 4 sets, sometimes 5 of stuff. And is it wrong? Is it wrong
I feed my dog.
for guys to find an easier way to an end goal? Because I feel like that's the difference. I think with the younger generation. And I say our generation because
Don't ask me. You know what I'm gonna say.
I know, but we're 7 years
But
apart.
I'd like to hear from these young
No, yeah,
guys.
I'll hop
So
in
that's
on
my,
this
that's
one.
what I want to know is like the way when we trained, if you weren't suffering and you weren't intense as fuck and training hard, like I look at these guys now and I'm like, yeah, maybe they'll be there longer, but is that really the easier way to the end goal, or are they missing something?
Real quick, I'll let you guys jump in. So I was 18, 19 years old, training Metroflex with Ronnie, and this guy Mark, who was Ronnie's workout partner. Mark was bigger than Ronnie actually back in those days, and we were doing something. I started, why are we doing this? And he looked at me and he goes, "Shut the fuck up, do what we do, and don't ask no questions." I did, and it worked. Is that good? Maybe. Is it bad? Maybe, but it worked, and it's a different mentality. And the one thing I learned growing up on a ranch was hard work. And I went to that gym. I thought I knew how to work hard. I didn't have a clue. They schooled me real quick what hard work was. And I learned at a young age, I didn't have the best genetics in the world, but I learned if I could outwork them, I could beat them. And as my own personal pride, I never wanted to lose a show because somebody outworked me.
Yeah.
And that drove me to work out, to kill myself. And then when I had a workout partner like I did, who I'm stepping on stage with, who would beat me, our amateur career, he beat me every single time. And I remember thinking, if I can beat him in the gym, then I can beat him on stage. And that drove me, and it was positive too. Johnny's my fucking best friend on this planet. But it drove me to be better and to work even harder, and with that mentality. And is it different now? I don't know. I think you have to ask each individual. But I'd like to hear these guys.
But before they go, what you said before, I don't think the up and coming generation, I don't think they learn like the way we learned from the generation prior to us. I think that's the big difference. I don't think the younger generation looks at us the way we looked at the generation prior to us. I think there's very few guys that look at the older generation and learn from them. I feel like the younger generation thinks they know best.
Well, I'm going to ask this of you guys. We learned from the guys that came in the 90s. We learned, and that's just like the story I just told you. That's how I learned. Did you guys learn like that? Or was it more like social media or other stuff that you kind of learned the technique and you got more scientific and controlled with it?
So, tackle this in multiple parts. I do feel like there are like 2 camps that belong to the whole like optimal crowd, if you will. I feel like there are those that try to train optimally with that old school like Metroflex gun to your head intensity, me and him. And then I feel like you have people that want to train optimally because it means they don't have to put a bar across their back or hack squat till they puke, or it's a way to get out of the work.
Yes.
I think something else that is lost on a lot of these people, that you're referring to, like the up and comers, is they take what they see like their idols doing, whether it's like me or Joe or whoever it is, they take what the people are seeing and they take it completely out of context. Yeah. They don't appreciate or even ask the question of, well, have you always trained like this? And I'd be the first one to be like, no, I haven't. I beat the shit out of myself for a decade straight.
I remember seeing you train like that.
Yeah, I learned what true failure was. I learned what too much volume was. I learned what too much fatigue was by doing it, not reading about it and then being scared of the fatigue monster if I do one more rep or, get too close to actual failure, And I think that's the biggest, delineation between the two. And I feel like that's why so many people, like from your and Guy's generation or so, just fucking fed up with it, is because a lot of people are using it as an excuse to not work hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
That being said, it's like I'll put anyone on, a unilateral leg extension, and I'll make them fucking cry and feel like they have a blowtorch taken to their quads, and their legs will probably be sore than they've ever been sore before. If they'll actually do what I tell them to do.
Yes.
So
if factor.
Joe, what do you think?
But is that the same as putting a bar on your back and doing a 50-rep set with how?
Well, I mean, after we do
heavy
that,
weight?
we go to the hack squat or the leg press or the bar and squat. Yeah,
I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
I think a lot of things get lost in translation due to social media and stuff nowadays, because just like growing up, the first thing we would look, or the guys would look at, is the magazines, how these guys train, the videos, you, Johnny or Jay or Ronnie. That was our inspiration to train, but also, our background, like, why do you train, right? I never picked up a heavy ass barbell and said, man, I'm gonna look so fucking good after this set. I was like, I just trained because I love to train, right? Train hard. It felt good, like that therapeutic feel. That's why you train hard. You don't train hard to look amazing, And so a lot of these kids just want to look the part. They don't want to become the part, as far as like what it takes to actually get a body like that, the intensity that it requires of you, the passion it requires of you. And they look for the easy way out to try to get there. So they don't train with that intensity and passion that the beginning requires of you, the foundation, the ability to grow the balls to get under a heavy set and not know what's going to happen. The butterfly feeling we've talked about and stuff. And it's like, man, this may be the last time I ever get to do this, but fuck it, I'm going to go for it.
It's not testicular cancer. That tingling feeling is not testicular cancer.
It's not. But
You got to get underweight. That scares you
I
sometimes.
used to do some sick shit, man. Like, I'd get on here, have heavy weight, and Brian, whoever would challenge me, you got 20 reps of this shit. Most I've done in my life was like 12 or something. And so how do you do that, right? I used to think, okay, if somebody's got a gun to my daughter's head and I don't get 20 reps, I'm going to pull the trigger, right? That's some sick shit.
that's what it takes.
And if that was in real life, I bet you get 20 reps. And so that's the kind of stuff I play games with myself when I train, to train like that. And, you see the videos, and I'm angry and shit. Well, fuck, I made myself angry because I would think stuff like that, and then I could push myself that much harder. And you got to be a little fearless too, because you can't think, what might happen. Fuck it, you go for it. Because if you guys trying to do something great, like you guys are trying to do, then it comes with great risk. That's part of it.
And that's the reason, like you get to a point where you're pushing those limitations. You look fear in the face and you say, fuck you, I'm still going for it. But then you get to a point like in your career where it's like, okay, I can keep doing this. And then you get a scare or a tear or something, or just a warning shot. And you're like, man, like I have a trajectory. Like we talked about Hunter potentially being able to win a Sandow. He has a trajectory. It's like, is this going to benefit me to train like this? Or do I have to find another way to keep going to achieve what I believe I can? And it forces you to kind of walk away from that. It's not that we want to, we kind of have to. Like nobody wants to do time under attention, slow and controlled shit. No, man, like that's not what we got into. That's not what drove us. But what drives us now after a certain point is trying to be the best, trying to leave a mark in the industry farther than just the training that it took to get there. It's like, okay, I can respect you more now too, because you had to walk away from what you like just know and love to chase something even greater than that. And that requires, a lot of put the ego to the side and like, fuck, what am I really doing this for at this point now? It gets farther than therapy. It's now I'm trying to provide. Now I'm trying to, be an inspiration to everybody else. So it's like, okay, instead of walking away from this because you're a little banged up, there's other ways to do it now too. Let me show you. But yeah, the foundation still needs to be there. That whole thing we just talked about, that still needs to be there. And if you have to do it that way, then to keep going, like Hunter or myself, then you make the adjustment and man up to that now.
I think when I'm thinking about you guys, everything from Branch, Hunter, Joe, Guy, I think you guys are very, intelligent for what you guys are doing. And I think that's what's needed, regardless if we talk about old school or new school or whatever. I think you kind of need to think a little bit like this. So, how can you work the margins on your side, making sure that
work smarter to work harder, not to make it easier, to make it harder.
Exactly.
So failure is not an option.
What do you
find
prefer?
a way.
What I prefer? Oh yeah, I mean, like I'm all in on the old school high intensity training. I like to push myself, so kind of like I puke or faint or whatever. So yeah,
Talking about intensity, like I've done a heavy fucking hack squat where I'm like, man, my knees are gonna blow out. And then I've also done a 3-plate hack squat for slow and controlled 20 reps.
Got more sore.
We talk about intensity. That
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
hurts.
Well, that's my thing, you know, and I'll have this, like, this has always been like my thing that I'll say to people is it's like, I feel like it's way more intense and a sign of mastery over your body to be able to stay in that pocket and to stay in that pain. And it feels like someone's just taking a blowtorch to you.
And just to jump in.
Before,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just need to say, like, you know, my favorite is to do that hack squat super slow, you know, and do it so super slow that I punish myself, you know, so I mean, like crazy, you know, like in a way that you know, that is mind blowing. And that's, to me, that's like an old school way of doing it. I never felt my knees blowing.
So some of the stuff is my fault. Me and Johnny talked about it, but back in the day when we were training, we didn't capture a lot of this stuff because I was such a Nazi about being filmed. Because if you start camera on my face and distracted me, I wouldn't have it.
The early footage of Nick filming you is still some of the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just to your point, you know, I mean, we did stuff like, you know, like leg extensions. We would do like 5-minute sets. You know, up for 2 seconds, hold, down for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, and when I say down, you're controlling it down for 2, and right back up, hold, and that stuff will kill you. You know, but we also did stuff, slap the fucking plates on and go for broke.
But you have those days when you did 100 reps session on
I
legs.
still do.
And
Because I love it.
yeah, but I mean that's hard, and it's not you know, when you do 100 reps, it's not like it's heavy that you blow your knees. So is that old school or new school? I don't know.
I think the common thread has to be intensity.
Yeah,
That's
You know, you can train in a prison yard or you can train in the most equipped gym in the world.
You
It
can
doesn't
make 100
matter.
pounds feel like 500 pounds with intensity.
yeah.
So I'll concede that 100%. Without intensity, you ain't got shit.
and that's
Y'all
what's
got
lost
that,
in
right?
translation.
Okay, just making sure.
You see, that's what's lost in translation. They see a big dude move slow weights like that, but they don't see that dude is moving it with purpose.
Yeah.
But I can train lighter, and it's like, yeah, but what are you feeling? Are you pushing it to that like screaming point where it's like, this hurts like hell? It's not gonna hurt my knees.
Yeah.
But it's like that gun to your head, and you have to get to that 20. It's almost harder than getting into the heavyweight. You know.
I think there's a big disconnect between people's perception of pain and then actual failure too. You know, there's a big difference between stopping when a set really hurts and stopping when the muscle is physically
I've said it
incapable
many
of
That's what Tom Plant
physically incapable of contracting anymore.
On leg day, guys find out how bad they really want it. Sometimes they find out they don't want it as bad as they thought they did. And
Completely
the Tom
agree.
Platz thing, that's how I learned. Brian learned from Tom Platz. Brian taught Ronnie, taught me, taught Johnny. And one day I asked him, we're doing this crazy shit. And he had me do 50 reps on squats with some stupid shit. Of course, I felt miserably. So I got 20. And the next week, you got a little bit more. And I finally asked him, what do you think this shit up? He told me the story how he met Tom Platz. Tom taught him how to train. And we passed it on down the generation. And I think the key to what we were just talking about is intensity. Tom Platz had the ultimate intensity, and I think that's the key.
Yeah. Intensity and purpose. And imagine if you take all the stuff that you guys been talking about and we apply that to all parts of life.
Yep.
What do you think happened, with your business, with your relationships, with everything? That's what I'm talking about.
So the Olympia.
I was about to say, I want to pivot something real quick since the guy just sat back down.
Oh.
Do you think 212 should exist anymore? With the recent history of, Sean winning an open show. I think Keon's going to go and win an open show after this year's Olympia. Kareth placed very well at Texas Pro this year. Do you think that 212 is a needed division, or do you think bodybuilding's bodybuilding?
My argument to that is, would those guys be where they're at in the open if it wasn't for the 212?
Fair enough. That's a great point.
Because you could say, well, maybe they would have just went right to the open. Sometimes you need to marinate in a certain division to be able to catapult on, I did open shows. I mean, I took, fifth at the Arnold Classic Australia in the open. There was Dallas McCarver, rest in peace. It was his last show that he ever competed in. So I do think there's a need. I mean, people, bust balls about, 212, but when you're shorter, some people don't have the genetic structure to be an open guy. And the argument is, well, You can't make a division for everybody. But even back in the Arnold days, there was Arnold and Frank. There was a shorter division and a taller.
Heavyweight and lightweight class.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a negative. But I think it's good having a weight cap because it keeps those guys in confinement and captivity until they're able to, flourish into a heavier division. You can make the argument, Sean Clarita, being 170 pounds and winning an open show and being a crazy bodybuilder, he's a one-off. So would you have that deep of a lineup in the open with 212 guys if there wasn't 212? And my argument is I don't think those guys would be where they're at without that division.
Devil's advocate.
Yeah.
What do you think about is telling them to marinate in classic? Because I understand
Say
them being
that again.
the shorter guys that you say need time to marinate to be able to make that move into bodybuilding and be competitive. What about telling them marinate in classic for a little bit?
The problem is with classic, it's height versus weight.
Mm-hmm.
If classic was 212, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the problem is with classic is every height has a different cap.
No, yeah, completely understand.
So,
that.
and I think that will hold you back way more. Like, for example, the guys that start off is in 212 that maybe are at, like Keon weighed 211.7 or something like that when he weighed in. When he first started out in 212, he was in the high 180s, low 190s. So he gradually grew and climbed that ladder. There's not many guys that are 170 like Sean that can win an open show. Yeah. He's a one-off, So I think when you have the caps in all the heights, that is going to hurt a guy from catapulting into the open much more so than they have a division where they say, if classic was, this is the weight cap, no matter your height, and that's it, that would be a better argument. But as far as the 212, I think the 212 is very good. It's very deep. It helps these guys grow into a division. And listen, the open isn't for every competitor. So some of these guys will never leave 212.
Yep.
Like me, my heaviest weigh-in was 207. I was never close to the 212 cap, no matter what I did, how much I ate. Yeah, can you say I restricted certain PEDs and didn't push certain limits? That was just because I didn't want to do certain things because I knew the risks versus the reward just wasn't there for me.
Yep.
I have no problem with 212. I think as guys, we have a lot of great champions, a lot of great physiques, and we probably wouldn't have in the sport if it went for 212 because these guys win as a middleweight or a lightweight, if the Nationals USA, they're done, right? They can't step on an open stage. And so I think the 212 division gave a lot of guys a chance to have a career and flourish. I mean, Flex Lewis, Look at Keon. Keon's going to be around for a minute. Keon's going to be an open guy one day. Derek Lunsford, Sean Clarita, Hottie, Jose Raymond, yourself. I mean, there's a lot of great bodybuilders that came up to 212. Some went on to be open. Some stayed in 212. They made a name for themselves. I have a problem with that.
Now run it back a couple more years. Think about people like my dad or Muhammad Benaziza or all these other little guys that were.
And a lot of the
but
open.
Your dad arguably won Olympia, right? He got second how many times? Third? I mean, and he's 190,
4 times.
180, 190 pounds.
The heaviest he ever was on stage was 192.
Yeah, and so, but he was top 3.
Yeah.
Arguably won one year for sure. I still believe he won it that year. So if you have it like Sean Clarita or like a Keon, you're still going to do good in the open. I believe, some of these guys, Hottie, same thing. He took a year off, whatever, went open and did well. I don't have a problem with 212. I think it's a good thing. I think it gives guys an opportunity to grow. And, a lot of these guys, they look better at 225 than they do at 212.
Yeah.
They gotta suck down. So
Derek's a great example of that.
Yeah.
He was killing himself, losing muscle to make a class. And
100%.
a lot of these open guys turn pro a lot heavier than 212.
And it doesn't hurt the open class.
No.
Classic hurts the open class.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. I agree
Because
with
we're
that.
getting these guys that are not fulfilling their full potential because they tap out.
Well,
they
I
go
feel
into
like
the
everyone
stadium.
in the top 5 for Classic outside of Terrence is dieting to some certain degree year-round.
Mike Badass, to me, is a 212 bodybuilder.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Mike Summerfield is a 212 bodybuilder. He's got a 212 physique. If he didn't have to make a weight cap, I think he would be pretty damn dominant in the 212 class.
Yep.
But I also think social media, popularity, and what C-Bum did for Classic, I think people are chasing that over being the best bodybuilder they can be. I think a lot of these guys are looking at the exposure being in Classic because of what Chris Bumstead did and how he blew that class up over being the best bodybuilder they can be.
Well, I think wanting to be a fucking freak's a dying thing these days.
Yes, that's what I mean. That's my point.
People would much rather walk around
Yes.
looking good all year,
Yes.
feeling good all year, not looking at stairs and being out of breath, and you know how that goes.
Yeah, but I'm
Put
going
the
to push.
microphones away from my face for a reason.
You go to the Olympia, and it was in Tampa or Orlando, where it was years ago. I've seen this before. They had you guys go on Friday night prejudging, and it was like 3 classes after you. When you guys stepped off stage,
Everyone leaves.
8% of the crowd got up and walked out.
Yep.
And because at the end of the day, people come here for the show to see you guys, the freaks.
People go to the circus see a bearded lady, not a
You
pretty
want to see
woman.
something that's superhuman. It's a bodybuilding show. You want to see something that's larger than life and superhuman. And that's the open guys.
Yeah.
And
So one thing, you were talking a little bit about, 1 to 5, talked about those. I think it's like interesting to talk about, maybe 5, 6 to 10, that type. Interesting name coming up like Urs.
Jordan
They
Hutchinson.
made
I
the
was gonna say,
classic.
Urs for sure, but speaking of our own family, Jordan and Brett, man,
Yeah.
I think
100%.
both of those guys are names you got to talk about in that 5
Yeah.
to 10 spot.
Andrew Jacks, like we talked about.
Yep.
He's going to be in the mix somewhere.
Beirut.
How do you say, let's just start from the top, and let's just say, or however you want to say it, Jordan won 2 shows this year, made big improvements. Yep. How do you see him doing?
Jordan, it's tough because I stood next to Jordan. He was incredible. He won 2 pro shows. There's no taking away from what he did. But standing in next to certain guys, it's like that's where you start to get from that percentage point. Right?
Yes.
And this is where you start to see Jordan's flaws standing next to those guys. And as much as I love Jordan and his work ethic, I don't see him anything past 10 and
You think he can make 6 or 10?
No, I don't, because of the names in front of him right now. And this is his first Olympia, it'd be incredible. I've been rooting for him. That's an emotional side, but as far as looking at the sport for what it is, it'd take your heads off, right? I don't see Jordan's physique at that level yet. Not that he can't be there, but just with the guys.
Thinks he needs more time.
One of the most
I think an easy way to do it. We got Nick, Martin, Hottie, Derek,
Samson.
Martin, Samson.
You said Martin twice.
I said Martin twice. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's 5. Outside of those 5, we have
Vito.
Andrew, Beirut,
Good
Vito, Tonio, Brett.
See, and that's so Brett. We talked about this. Brett is one of the most impressive bodybuilders when he's by himself, but you
Beautiful
start
physique.
to see the flaws when he stands next to those
That's
other
exactly what I
guys,
mean.
and that's what he's saying.
I think his flaw, he just needs more size.
More size. Well, that's but if you see him by himself, he's one of the most impressive bodybuilders by himself. But then when you add him to a lineup with guys that are so much more heavily, not much more, but heavily muscled, you start to pick the flaws out.
See, I have the exact opposite problem. I have to be standing next to people for you to see my physique.
Yeah.
It looks very underwhelming when I'm by myself.
I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
So,
Yeah, but Jordan has a great physique. It's just the competitive level right now is so high, and it's like, for example, I see holes when he's standing next to guys like bigger arms and stuff, and just thicker chests or crazy detailed backs. Like those things are gonna hurt him standing next to the best in the world. And those other 4 guys, like I said, can he get 10? I think he can get 10. Like on his best day, he can get 10 right now. But after that, that's just me being realistic with my friend, But
I think he's got some of the best conditioning in the show. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him land, somewhere in the 6, 7, 8, 9 slot.
his conditioning is really good. It's improved from Texas.
Yes.
I just saw him, this the other day.
But people have to be off.
Yeah. And like I said, I prefaced this at the beginning, predictions aren't worth shit until they step on stage.
No.
And I promise you, all these guys we're talking about, a couple of them are going to be off. And a couple of them are going to show up better than we've ever seen them. So that'll change the placings. Brett, did Brett make top, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spot?
I think, dude, it's so fucked talking about this, right? Because you want to be like root
Trust
for
me,
your
it's
friends.
just
Yeah, my
hard.
friend,
You
my
can't
friends
put
are
everybody in
gonna
first.
fucking kill it.
You can't put
Yeah.
everybody
But
in first.
take the heads off. Like Guy has said, like Joe has said. Realistically, for Brett, I think that 9 or 10 spot would be an incredible first outing at your Olympia. Making top 10 at your first Olympia, man, that's nothing to sneeze at, especially this year.
So yeah, with all that said, like again, we talk about Andrew Jack, right? He was what 4th last year, right?
He was 5th.
Fifth. So okay, he's 5th. So that like we have even better guys coming in this year, and his conditioning's not that great. Jordan's conditioning will take him far, but
How
at
far?
this level, that's what I'm saying.
How
to
far?
10 in my head. That's how far he could get in this lineup at this point.
Yeah.
Where his physique's at.
His
And,
conditioning gives him the opportunity to catch people slipping.
That's so.
Yes.
That's why I put
That-
him.
Yeah, he'll catch
because
people slipping if
I
anyone
don't see
slips.
guys like Andrew. Yes, he's way bigger and he has a wow factor, but Andrew's a one-off because of how big he is. But I think you're going to have guys that are kind of similar in structure, height to Jordan. Jordan's going to surpass him because of his gnarly conditioning. But those guys have to be off in conditioning.
And then we got new guys like Tonio. Tonio looks incredible right now. Like I honestly don't see him beating Antonio. This version that I'm seeing, I know he has
See, I could see that. I could see that.
I can see
I
Jordan
could see
beating
that.
Antonio.
At this point, I mean, if
Now,
he does,
we'll
awesome.
see Friday night when they
yeah,
select each other.
exactly.
But who else we got? Andrew Jack. If Andrew Jack came in shredded, he beats everybody. But at this point, we've never seen him come in shredded.
Yeah.
And especially from the rear, that's his weakness.
Yes.
Glutes, hamstrings, all that are always soft.
Yep.
If he ever gets shredded, it's a bad day for everybody. So we'll see.
I'm interested, MJ. Who in order, because being here, you're kind of a spectator. You have 4 guys in the room that were or still are. Body one that will absolutely be in Olympia. You've been to Olympia more than once, as have I, as a branch. So our eye and perspective is a little different from somebody who is involved so much in the sport and the bodybuilding community. I want to know where you would judge and how you would judge these guys, or everything considered equal and everybody comes in 100%. Who are you placing 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3,
first?
4, 5? I want to know.
Oh my God. That's a
You're on the
hard
spot.
one.
Don't
You're
be
on the
politically-
spot.
Don't
I
be
wa-
politically correct.
Yeah, fuck politics, bro. Cut the heads off.
Hey.
Talk about the fucking body.
Nobody signed with Gasp, so you can't freaking
No.
that ain't a factor.
Now, I do it simple for me. I like Martin's physique. I'm thinking I would love to see him, take the number 1 spot. That wouldn't hurt.
No, what you would love and what you think are 2 different. Like, I would love to see Martin win it.
Like if I'm
This
going
year.
to say what the judge is
Gonna
going to
put
do,
money in.
Yeah.
or what I'm going to do.
No, what you
you're
think
gonna
the
do.
judge?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I would love to see Martin take the top
Top
spot.
spot.
I feel he's, he got for me, he got the right physique. He got all the bits and pieces in place. He got the size. He got the conditioning. He's the ideal.
So if you were
physique for
judging,
me.
everybody was 100%. You'd have Martin in first.
Yeah, if he's what I'm thinking he's gonna be, and what he's capable of, and what I see the others' physiques,
So who would you have in second, third?
Samson second. Nick is 5.
Wow.
Yeah. So something like that.
It's cool, but you know what this shows? How bodybuilding, how subjective fucking bodybuilding is. People want to bitch at judging all the time. You got 5 guys in a room, all have different perspectives of who they think is going to take
It's
first
so
or
it's so
5
hard when you don't have all the
next to each other.
Yeah, next to each other, and things I saw on Arnold in the spring here colors what I'm thinking now. Things like that.
Yeah.
But that's a little bit like the interesting part for me is the guys who are like 6 to 15.
Who's second?
Samson,
Samson third.
Derek, Hadi,
Derek Hardy.
I would say
Andrew, Beirut, Rito.
I hope for Hadi.
Oh, we forgot about Regan too. Regan looks pretty good this
He
year.
does.
Yeah.
How's his conditioning? I haven't seen him.
He looked
It
damn
looks
good.
it looks like it's the best
Yeah,
it's ever been.
I agree.
It really does.
Yep.
You see Jordan beating someone
So
like
Hadi third,
Yeah.
Hadi, then Samson,
Yeah.
Martin on
Not
top.
yet.
Yeah.
Joe,
Not yet.
That's what I'm saying.
Joe, what's your top 3?
Yeah, he's trying to nail us now, so we can see how good this is aging.
Who walks away with the O?
I actually said this at the 7-week out mark for the O on Fuad's podcast. It was Nick Walker.
So there's three Nick. There's three Nicks.
Yeah, I
that
called
have
this a while ago, and they're telling me like interesting. I don't know, and then they watched Nick's progression over the last.
They
how
jumped
many
down my
weeks.
throat too.
Yes,
you
and
saw it.
and I'm like, I am no Nick Walker, but I can understand Nick walk, like what his drive is, and the passion within the.
He's
what
a
he has,
bodybuilder
yeah,
through and through.
and the consistency. Right, we talk about consistency. He's on a certain trajectory with his physique, with his mental state, all those things. You're not going to see that guy decline yet.
Yeah, but
And he's already been third best, and his physique's only gotten better. And because of consistency, I don't see him.
This is the
slipping.
biggest he's been too.
And so that's why I have Nick winning. It's the
But-
consistency aspect.
but certain physiques, they are for certain physiques, they don't necessarily get better with time.
And that's the thing. I think his physique
I
has
agree.
gotten better.
Absolutely. I don't think there's a question in that.
And I've said this. I said, look, if Nick doesn't win this year, yeah, it's going to be hard for me to argue that after that, because this is the best I think he's potentially going to be able to bring at this point. Because I don't know how much you can improve at a certain point, at a certain size. You can't get more peeled at a certain point too.
You can recomp.
Yeah,
and change your.
yeah.
Like Nick has brought his waist in substantially from the beginning.
I'll
But
say
the thing
this.
is, like, can other guys improve, and then the shape factor be what gets them ahead of him? Just because you get bigger,
Yeah.
like Marcus Rule did,
Yes.
doesn't mean you're going to win off of your time.
Agreed.
All right, so I'm gonna give mine here, and I hate doing this shit. If Nick can control his stomach, if his stomach is ascending a little bit, and we all seen him on the stage shows where he's breathing hard, can't control his stomach. With his physique, that stomach has to be tight and
Yes.
controlled. If it's not controlled, he falls dramatically.
Yeah.
Nick is taking. He doesn't have the best structure by any means, but he has got a shit ton of muscle, and he gets
Neither
hard.
did Jay. Neither did Dorian.
And that's my whole point. And Jay always came in, his stomach was tight and flat and peeled. If he comes in like that, he can win. I'm sitting there going back with everybody. I don't think Derek's going to be 100% because he hasn't stopped training since the Olympia last
He
year.
hasn't given himself a
Can't
break.
give himself a break. And I know from personal experience and watching other guys,
It's hard to hold it.
it's going to be hard to come in and look like he did at the Arnold.
I
Or
agree.
look like the year when he
Yep.
won the Olympia.
Yep.
So I don't think he's going to be 100%. Now, this is all bullshit predictions. Who knows? We'll find out Friday. But, Martin has made leaps and bounds. And Samson is just so overwhelmingly big.
He's so fucking big.
Yeah. And
He's so
I know I've been in this sport for 30 years. Size matters at the Olympia.
Yeah.
And he was the hardest last year, but he was so overwhelming. He won because of that. So it's going to be real hard to beat him because he's got the shape and he's got the size. And Nick Walker has enough size and conditioning to beat him.
Yes.
So the only reason I didn't have Samson winning this year was because every time someone pushes to that next level conditioning that they've never touched before, they're always going to lose their worst body part first. And so once you get there, you try to fill back up. Sometimes that body part just doesn't come back. And so
It needs a
where
couple
his
days to
flaws-
come
I'm
back.
gonna, this is my prediction here. I'm going out on a limb here. So I've seen crazy shit happen before. Martin, Nick, Samson.
Yeah, Martin winning.
Damn. Okay.
You're not too far away from me there.
And now, if Nick, and it's a real hard for me to say that because my physique was kind of similar to Nick's in a lot of ways. And if you come in hard enough, big enough, and full enough, he could be the last man standing. And
I'm not arguing that.
but I think if it's Martin's got such better shape, he's made such improvement. His condition is fucking on this time.
Do you think Martin brings a wow factor? Because most Mr. Olympias have a wow factor. Like you said, Samson had a wow factor. Dorian had a
That's-
wow factor.
That's
Did Derek
why
have a wow factor when he won 2 years ago?
When he won what?
The Olympia, when Derek won. You think he had the wow factor? I don't think he had a wow factor. I think he was
I think his back double bicep was wow.
Yeah.
I think that was a wow factor. I think when he turned around, you're like, holy fuck.
When he turned around, it sucked the air out of
Yes,
the room.
yes.
I remember that.
Yes,
So
I do.
we'll see.
So-
Nick could very well walk away with this one.
And-
Hottie,
Martin's never beat Nick either. Yet. Martin has yet to beat Nick.
doesn't matter. It was the first
I
time
know.
ever.
I know. I'm not. I'm just putting all the chips
Yeah.
on the table and throwing all variables out.
I don't take that in consideration because it can happen. So
it's okay. I think Martin has a very impressive physique.
Agreed.
I think he has a little bit of that branch physique, but
He ain't that pretty.
in a prettier package. So so that's my.
He said it lighter.
But I'm a little bit interested. Okay, so we talked about Jordan. We talked about Brett. What about Urs? What do we think?
I
about
think
him?
his back needs to come up. I think his back is too shallow in the back double and the back lat spread. In that lineup,
that's obvious. But what placing?
I don't think he's going to be top 10.
You see, I still see Jordan beating Urs.
Yes, I agree. Me too.
That's the caliber right now that I see Jordan beating a lot of those guys.
Yes. What about
yours in the future? I think he's going to be good.
agreed?
He's very young. He made the right decision going open, but
He
he's
needs
got
more
to
time.
grow in and mature into that division, and he's not quite there yet. Looking forward to the future. He stays healthy. He'll be a player. He'll be a factor in the show.
Let me tell you, Good Vito's a dark horse, man. That motherfucker looks good.
I was going to say that if there's one guy, that's going to pull a Ronnie or a Jay or something and go from the back of the pack to the front,
Yep.
that's your guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess I got Nick, then Hottie, then Samson, then Derek, and I had Martin in fifth until Baruz came in. And I think just Baruz's overwhelming, like just size overall in general is they could knock someone out like Martin.
See, I'm gonna play devil's advocate to that, and I'm gonna say this: I feel like Brett gave Beirut as good
run for the money.
as good a run for the money as he ever could have given him without actually winning. And we were just talking about Brett, like 10th being an awesome placing for him. What do you think about that?
But no, it's true. It's just I think Baruz has had a lot of time, so it's like, again, what do these guys do with their time? And I think he's just one of those bodybuilders that will utilize that wisely. So where you talk about jumping higher levels and stuff, I think he's one of those guys that's going to do that. You just get an opportunity now to show it.
Yeah, I think Brett will make top 10.
I do
Somewhere
too.
at the bottom. I think his conditioning.
I think he'll be around 9
his
or
shape
10.
and conditioning, mainly his conditioning, is going to carry him through because
He's
I know these
etched.
judges, they love conditioning.
Yep.
And that first call out, if you ain't in shape, you ain't making first call out. I don't give a shit how well put together you are. You got to be in shape.
Yep.
And same thing for 6 through 10. He's in shape. He's probably gonna be the hardest we've seen him. He's put on some more muscle.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna be enough to get him in that one of those top, 6 through 10 spots.
So you guys have Brandon.
Oh shit! forgot about Brandon.
Listen, nothing away from Brandon, but age catches up to all of us, bro.
I love Brandon, man. Good dude.
I think Brandon, you're gonna find him in like the 6, 7, 8 spot.
You think he'll get that high?
He's either gonna be 6, 7, 8, or he's gonna be outside 10.
Because I'm gonna take somebody like who we were just talking about, like
Good
Brad,
Vito?
Yeah, Good Vito. I mean, that dude comes hard, right? Striated glutes, all this stuff, legs.
You have Brandon inside 10 or outside 10?
He'll be in 10, but I think he's gonna be
At 10.
towards the bottom.
Yeah, 9,
9th,
10.
10th, yeah.
Do you see a Jordan beating Brandon?
I could see that.
I can see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, he's
His
bigger.
legs, man.
His legs. Brandon
His
got.
legs.
We all know the waist down. From the waist up, he's fucking good. From the waist down, he's weak.
And when you get older,
So
certain body parts start going
Legs
on
are the
most
first
guys,
thing
and
to
legs.
go.
Yeah.
See, for me, it wasn't. I had bad shoulders, so my shoulders and my upper body started to go, but that was due to injury. Most guys, the first thing that goes on them, their quads, their hamstrings start downsizing quick. I'm not saying that happened to Brandon, but he's older, and his legs were never a strong suit. And every year that passes, a quote that I heard a long time ago is, every day you wake up, you're never as good as you were yesterday. So this might be Brandon's last hurrah.
I'm gonna pivot here. We wouldn't be here right now. We would not be doing what we do if it wasn't for this man sitting to my right.
Yes, sir.
So after all these years, 30 plus years in this, why you still do this crazy shit?
No, I love it. I mean, like,
What do you love about
you
it,
know,
though? What about
Ronnie
it do you
Coleman
love?
dancing.
I mean,
The road trips.
my wife. We were out road tripping, me and my wife here in Europe.
31 days.
And she said, do you think you can do this 5 more years, 10 more years? And I'm like, if this is work, then sign me up, because this is what I live for.
You keep your immune system in check, you'd be doing it for another 10 years.
Yeah. if you don't kiss me so much, I will still healthier.
Podcast just got weird.
The whiskey kicked in. That's what happened.
There ain't that much fucking whiskey in here, bro.
So, there's our generation was different. We were talking about earlier the guest posings, the contracts, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, we have over 200 athletes signed with Gasp, Better Bodies, 22,000 ambassadors.
Yeah.
And so you've given a ton of athletes, including myself, opportunity to live their dream. And what fuels you to keep doing that?
No, I just feel like this is a way for me to give back to the sport. Create a bigger family, and make the circles bigger for all of us. And my driving force is family, and I don't know why, but I can't help myself. I just want to, give. If this is the last, hooray or the last meal, I want to put it on the table for all of us to share. So.
But what makes you want to give? You didn't do a ton of shows. Never turned pro. What makes you want to give back to this exact sport? What is it?
No, I think it's the sport gave me a lot. They gave me the whole the ability to do what I'm doing today. I'm living through you guys. So I feel like I've been up on Olympia stage many times. Through the years now, and I feel like it feels like it's almost like the first day at work. And it's not even work. So why not continue? Why not do this? Because it's fun.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not always fun. Sometimes it's you have really big setbacks, but I also know by experience that the setbacks becomes my biggest assets eventually. It's just that
Makes you stronger, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes you stronger. You learn from it.
You don't learn from your wins, man.
Yeah.
No,
You learn a lot more from your losses.
Yeah.
That's
The wins could be the bad, for it. If you take them the wrong way, they could be detrimental. But yeah.
So where do we go from here? What's the plans going forward? Now, and what he's saying, he's not just saying. He has 4 shows in Europe he promotes. He gives back so much to the athletes. If you've never been to any of those shows in Europe,
Yeah.
the backstage area is incredible.
Microwaves, food, this, that.
Yeah, it's insane. And the stuff he does, and he's not there to make money at it. He's there to give back.
Yep.
And we have the Better Bodies Classic, and coming up in April, second year we have that, and then we're on track to have the biggest show in Texas.
Yeah.
And where do we go from here? What's next?
No, I think it's kind of like homecoming in April is going to be our big family reunion. Where we actually becomes a real homecoming for people from all around the world. We have people, friends in 110 countries. There's a lot of people who are interested to live life to the fullest and come and see us, and create more friends, more camaraderie.
Tell people what homecoming are that are watching the podcast that maybe don't know what it is and never had a chance to come out, because I don't think a lot of people realize that it's open to everybody, not just ambassadors and athletes.
No, everybody's welcome. So
It's not just a show.
No.
Yeah, it's so much more than a show. It's a little bit like what we are trying to put everything we have on the table. So usually we on Thursday we go to the racetrack. We drive some race cars side by sides. We have some fun. Eagles Canyon is kind of like like a sister destination to us, and then of course we do our activities at destination. We
Shoot some guns.
shoot some guns. We have Piotr and David coming in and cooking food. 500 meals last time. At destination.
Phenomenal chefs.
Yeah, amazing stuff. And then Saturday we have the Better Bodies Classic. Dallas Market Hall. We have a big expo, 150 vendors, maybe 10, 12 big events. 3,000 to 5,000 people come to see us. And then on Sunday we have a breakfast of champions. So to finish everything off.
We got that big dinner too at MJ's.
Yeah,
Don't forget that.
Yeah, and then dinner at my house.
You open your doors to everybody. It's awesome.
Yeah. No, So it's kind of cool to invite the whole world, and the whole world doesn't really come, but it becomes very special for those who do have the ability to come.
One day they are, and we're gonna be like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah.
Gonna need a bigger boat.
My wife has said that a couple of times. Like, we're just gonna have a little small extra thing here. He said, "What do you mean, like a small extra? It's only 60 people coming."
You're gonna be having a
over for
giant
dinner."
fucking Texas
We had 250
stadium.
show up this year.
Yeah.
One time I
Start
asked
measuring homecoming by how many cows it takes to feed everyone.
one time I asked Michael what Gasp means when I got put on board and stuff. Like, what does it actually mean? And he said, "I will always know what it means, but what's important to me is that everyone has their own definition,
Interpretation
of
of
it."
it.
Yeah.
Yes, and one of the things he talks about all the time is family, family, family. And I say it all the time to everyone that gets into this, the young kids coming up, and I said, look, if you live this life right, you come in alone, but you walk out with a giant family around you.
Yeah.
The relationships you build, the conversations you have, the memories you make, you do it right, bodybuilding gives you all of that.
Yeah.
And so like Gasp, Michael, that's what he represents in my idea of Gasp. So yeah, Michael, thank you for giving us all a
Thank
big
you so
family.
much. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate this podcast. Appreciate everybody who's tuning in to see what we're up to a little bit here when we're telling some tales and having some fun.
Well, guys,
Some
I
tales
appreciate
won't be said.
I appreciate you all coming together again. This is one time a year everybody in our sport comes together, and in Vegas, and we celebrate the sport we love. And it's always fun to make predictions and debate and argue the outcomes and all the predictions. So, Michael, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And for making all this happen. And
You're the man,
Joe,
bro.
we're going to see you on this Olympia stage next year. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's
Yeah.
no doubt in my mind.
All right, make us proud.
I
brother.
want to win
Yeah.
too, and I'm going to win
Hunter,
too.
I know you're coming
I
back.
will be back.
So,
I will be back.
Guy, I don't know what the fuck you're going to be.
He's going to be messaging my DMs. Hey, man, you're looking fucking wild.
But April 10th and 11th, we got the Better Bodies Classic.
Yep.
Dallas, Texas, Dallas Market Hall, guys.
Yeah.
You heard it from the man himself. The whole world's invited, so we'd love to see you there. So come out and join us. But for this concludes another episode of our Olympia podcast here in Las Vegas. So guys, stay tuned. Watch the Olympia this weekend. And until next time.
Heavyweight bars. This was good shit.
It
They got
was.
phenomenal
That's
stuff.
a bad joke,
I was
man.
gonna say, is that Joe's signature bar?
I think that's the one right
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, that's the one you want to
They're,
promote.
they're
Yeah.
bringing me.
That's
They're
one of
bringing me
special-
some
that's one of
bars. The
special
experts.
bars.
Yeah, the
Got
Fat
that
Joe
fucking
bar.
dispensary.
Yeah, this is going to be part of our refeed table.
That's a post-workout or post-show bar right
Yeah.
there. I'll tell you that much.
All right, guys. We out of here.